Okay, so today is August 26, 2020. This is a part 2 update, and it's about 9:45 p.m. here on the West Coast. Currently it's 75 degrees here in the foothills of Southern California, Los Angeles, and we have relative humidity of 54%. The dew point is 57 degrees, and the pressure is at 29.77, which has dropped since this morning. All right, so we're watching Hurricane Laura, which has strengthened over the last 10-12 hours. Right now we're at 939 millibar, which is fairly low pressure. That's getting down there. In fact, if you convert 939 millibar to PSI, pounds per square inch, we come up with 13.619 PSI. And the nominal pressure at sea level is normally about 14.7 psi, so there's a pressure differential of about 1.1 psi from the center of that hurricane, the most low pressure point, the center of that eyewall, or rather the center of the eyewall, I should say. And here in the infrared map, we can see that this storm is just starting to make landfall in basically the border of Louisiana and Texas. In fact, if we look at the Doppler map, we can see high pressure here on this side, which is going to help steer this hurricane in a northerly direction right where they want it. I think that what they're doing here, the weather controllers are going to run this thing right over the largest petroleum oil refinery in the nation, which is right here in Port Arthur. So here's Port Arthur, and the refinery is right there. Right here, this area is all that refinery. It's the largest refinery in the country for petroleum, diesel, all sorts of different types of petroleum chemicals are made there. All right, so there it is. We zoom out and we see the eyewall. The fiercest winds are up in this area. Lake Charles, all these areas are going to have severe wind and flooding. And let's look at this is the National Oceanics and Atmospheric Administration swell chart. So if we look here, this is the center of Linda, generating a solid 50-foot swells right there in the center of that storm. That's a very wide area. That circle right there, everywhere inside that circle is 50-foot swells, and that's the average height. Right here it says the average height of the highest 1/3 of the waves. It's the average height. So we've got 50-foot waves heading right towards this border area between Louisiana and Texas. And so that storm surge, they're talking about maybe 20 to 30 feet, I think is what I read. Here in the infrared map, we can see that high pressure area here on the west side, which is going to help steer that storm in a more northerly direction. See that whole area dry out towards the end of the loop. Normally, weather is sucked right into this vortex. This is very low pressure, 939 millibar. Like I said, that's 13.619 psi. 1 millibar equals 0.0145 psi, and if you do the reciprocal of that, 1 psi would equal about 68.94 millibar. 1 psi equals 66. I can't read this in the dark. 68.947 millibar. Okay. All right, so there it is. Here's a close-up. We can see that storm is just starting to move onshore, the eyewall anyhow. It's just starting to touch the, make landfall. No WSR-88Ds in action. The Dopplers are doing their job. I mean, they are functioning. They're giving us this data here, but the point is that their high power function will carve up and disrupt these approaching thunderstorms to diminish the flooding potential. And I've shown that many times on this channel. You can just look at a few of the videos in the archives. So this is going to cause billions of dollars in damage. And the people that in the know that knew this was going to happen, they put their bets down on certain stocks. And those people knew that they knew it was going to happen. We've seen this time and time again. Just reviewing the last couple of weeks' activity over on the East Pacific, we had Hurricane Elida and Hurricane Genevieve. Both went right up the Baja coast, right along the west side of the Baja coast, and lo and behold, they were both blown apart, superheated, and literally blown apart before they could reach the California area. And then following that, we saw all that residual moisture from those two hurricanes, about a week apart, drift right into Southern California and Central California. Perfect opportunity for rain. And of course, our skies were completely sprayed over by these specially equipped jets, and we didn't get one drop of rain. I think one day it did rain for about 4 minutes, and then the spigot was shut off. They hit the upper atmosphere with the microwave transmitters from space, the space-based transmitters. You can also do that with a ground-based transmitter. Just heat the upper atmosphere, and that prevents the lift, and the spigot shuts off. You don't have precipitation if there's no lift. That's what this is all about. It's disrupting the lift in the atmosphere. All right, so we had Hurricane Elida and Genevieve about a week apart here, just a couple in the last 2 weeks here on the West Coast. And those two hurricanes were superheated and blown apart, but yet here we see Hurricane Laura just moving right in without any trouble. That's a very well-defined eyewall, and these jerks have blood on their hands. I hope the Trump administration is watching and paying attention, because this did need to happen. Okay, so that's the report. Next video will show some more examples of these pie-shaped cutouts. I've got a whole lot of screenshots of the Doppler radar maps going back several years, and we can show those for the new people out there, the new subscribers that are trying to figure out what's going on. Okay, so for now, we'll just pray and hope that these people that live in the area down there don't drown, and all the rest of it. And of course, we have that oil refinery right there, the Port Charles, or rather the Port Arthur, that Port Arthur refinery that I was just talking about right here. We may see oil prices spike tomorrow on the commodities market, depending on what happens right here. And of course, those WSR-88Ds would have prevented a lot of the flooding, and the satellite transmitters could have certainly stopped this, as we saw last week with Hurricane Elida and Hurricane Genevieve here on the West Coast. So there it is. I don't know how much more evidence we can show. Mainstream fake news ignores all this. They ignore the chemtrail spraying. They ignore the timing of the spraying, which coincides always with incoming moisture fields here on the West Coast and elsewhere. So we've got a real problem in this country with fake news and bad actors and all the rest of it. Okay, so we'll leave it right here. Okay, that's it.